Don't be fooled to thinking your employer has such a great relationship with you that they won't fire your ass on the spot. Why did Ryan Clark think ESPN loved him so much that he would be around forever? He can't do no wrong. And that's where he got wrong. That's where he went wrong at. The entitlement. Homeboy wasn't only a crash dummy on the football field, because he ain't making no plays on the football field. He was a crash dummy. He's a hard-hitting motherfucker. I can't lie. He hit hard. But he's also a crash dummy in real life. Because that's what he did. He crashed out, guys. That was a total crash out debacle by Ryan Clark. He couldn't wait to get on his podcast and cry in front of his viewers because he was simply fired. People get fired every day with less opportunities than Ryan Clark. Why not cry at home? Why not cry at home in private with your loved ones? Why is it necessary to jump on a podcast and platform and cry in front of everyone? What kind of man shit is that? There were 9 people fired, but ESPN Ryan is the only one trying to turn this termination into a soap opera. And we have to check ESPN Ryan out. Let's check him out.
I go home, and this
It's starting off up bad already. Look, I want y'all to watch his body language. You know when your kid's crying, you're yelling at your kids, they don't know what to do, they can't control their emotions, and they're going back and forth and grabbing their fingers and things like that. Watch this man. Watch this man. I know everybody's seen this, but we're reacting to this. Watch this. This is unacceptable.
and this kid, from the West Bank.
Look, what is he doing? What's wrong with his posture? The emotions get to him that bad? What, his diarrhea is starting to flow through the stomach? What the heck is going on? What is this? What the freak is that?
It's like so accepted in New Orleans now. Like I wouldn't change that. Never. Like all I ever wanted to do was be accepted. And want it. So yeah, like that, I wouldn't change. If you ask me, probably the first Monday.
We're not finna watch this whole thing, right? I'm sure y'all seen this already plenty of times before. But there is one major issue I have with this video, besides him crying and being so emotional. Who does this ninja feel he needs to be accepted by? Ryan Clark. Who does this ninja feels he needs to be accepted by? And it better not be what I'm thinking or who I'm thinking. And we need to know. We need to know who. Ryan Clark, we need to know who, what, when, where, how, why you want to be accepted. We need to know, Ryan Clark. This is some serious shit. Who do you want to feel accepted by? Who, what, when, where, and whatever else. We need an explanation. You need to explain this to the community. What the hell you meant by that? And for me, oh man, the dog that I am, the person that loves to be genuine and keep it 100. I don't want anyone to control me. I want to stay independent and have my voice the way I like it, right? But I let a ninja who wants to feel accepted speak on my name and show me disrespect. Imagine that. Woo, man. That's a tough pill to swallow for you, boy, Mr. Pick Six. I can't lie to you, man. That's a tough one to swallow. It's a tough one. Ryan Clark wants everyone to feel sorry for him. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. He turned this whole thing into a soap opera. But what made him think crying on his platform and to tell the world he wants to feel accepted was some player shit to do? This might be the biggest L Ryan Clark's media career. What a freaking mess. Him crying because he got fired is worse than any take he has ever spewed on ESPN, Get Up, First Take, or whatever. Why not tell the world you're excited for what's next? Why not tell the world, I appreciated this opportunity. I've grown so much working for this company. They showed me a lot. I learned a lot. Why not hold your head up, stick your chest out, and talk like that? No matter if you're feeling down and out, feeling vulnerable, yeah, you got time to go home and feel vulnerable and create that safe space, you know? I don't want to hear that men need a safe space to feel vulnerable shit. A man's safe place is at home with your loved ones. Man, we cry every day. We cry all the time. I ain't gonna say every day. I been crying since 2013. I cry every goddamn week. I cry. Anytime, most of the time when I'm alone by myself, start thinking about moms and all the things I've been going. Man, I cry. God damn it, yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with crying, but it's when and where and how you do it, right? See, to get up on a platform and cry, you have to set that stage. Be ready to act when it's lights, camera, and action. It's not genuine. Ryan let ESPN win this chess match. He was supposed to show ESPN they can't stop him, or they didn't have any effect on his life after his termination. Exactly what Shannon Sharpe did. Shannon Sharpe did exactly what we're supposed to do when someone feels like our services are no longer needed. He didn't cry. He didn't walk around with his head down, pouting, looking for sympathy. Shannon Sharpe created other avenues to continue his success. Damn near competing with ESPN. Cam Newton isn't crying. Cam Newton expressed his appreciation for the experience. But Ryan Clark feels the most entitled out of everyone. Out of everybody fired, Ryan Clark wants everyone to feel sorry for him. Entitlement got the best of that man. Entitlement is a very dangerous feeling to be carrying around. I dealt with people with entitlement around me for years upon years. And let me tell you, it's some dangerous shit. The way things went down, right? And from what ESPN Ryan is explaining, they will blackball him from the industry. You will end up seeing, if we end up seeing Ryan Clark with the mega hat on or something like that, just know they got him. If Ryan Clark ends up walking around with a MAGA hat on, they got the best of him, and he wants to feel accepted, and he wants his job. I'm not the one to kick a man down when he came across some hardships and things like that. I will have some fun. I love to have fun, and I'm going to talk shit. And he spoke on my name, and I felt disrespected. Of course, Ryan Clark is pretty talented at what he does as a media pundit, but he has some outlandish takes, like most of us do, like we all do. No one agrees with everyone's take. But the absolute worst one for me, when he tried to compare Tom Brady to other quarterbacks, simply in itself was a bad idea. But then he tried to say Tom Brady isn't a generation talent. Then proceed to say Drew Brees, Peyton Manning also aren't generational talents. But Patrick Mahomes is. Man. Whoa, that was a tough one. That was a tough pill to swallow on that day, man. That was a tough one to swallow. That was a tough one for sure, right? Now, we're talking about ESPN, right, and how they handled this situation. We expect billion-dollar companies to be professional and always handle situations to the most up professionalism, right? That's our expectations. But that's not necessarily true, and they don't have to do things the way we perceive it to be done, right? See, I see a lot of people don't agree with ESPN's decision to tell Ryan Clark about his termination on air as the right thing to do. But here's the thing. You ever thought ESPN decided they should hand down a little disrespect to Ryan Clark the same way he gives that disrespect to people? Think about it. If they decided to tell him that on air, that was purposely done. They purposely wanted to humiliate Ryan Clark and strike his ego. They didn't give the poor guy a chance to finish his segment. I know that really hurt that man. He was talking about LeBron too. That's crazy, you know. But for ESPN Ryan to handle the situation the way he did was a bad idea, man. I know he's having a lot of regrets and thinking about how he could have did a better job of handling this situation. But I know, and I understand, and I can see Ryan Clark was making a lot of people feel uncomfortable behind the scenes. He was hired to do a job the way they wanted him to do it, and he didn't want to do it the way they wanted him to do it. Ryan Clark, with the entitlement he possessed, he thought he could speak on topics that his employer didn't agree with. Stop thinking you're bigger than the program, man. If Ryan Clark didn't think he was bigger than the program, he would still have his job. They were having plans of taking Ryan Clark to the Super Bowl, and he was going to have his first live coverage at the Super Bowl. But he didn't want to follow the unwritten rules and instructions. Now, on the other hand, ESPN claims they made the decision to inform Ryan Clark of his termination after stories began to leak about the two parting ways, right? About ESPN and Ryan Clark parting ways. Cam Newton and Ryan Clark. That's the word on the streets, right? But I must say something serious had to happen for Ryan Clark in between the time him talking about Tom Brady, him belittling Peter Schrager, and talking about Bosa, you know, supporting MAGA and things like that. Something had to happen for ESPN to let that amount of time to go by and to execute this firing at this moment, right? At this time, right? And I can see, man, he can blame and cry and pout about the things of why he think they fired him. But Ryan Clark's aggressive nature around people who didn't play football tells me he was intimidating to those people at ESPN. The bigger and more physically fit we are, it scares certain people. That's just the way it is. You know? Ryan Clark thought he was in control of this ship now. ESPN said, no way but D. Sorry, but D. You know, but like I say, shout out to Ryan Clark, man. He's a very talented guy. This is just me, man, doing my shit talking right. You know, I don't never want to see a man's livelihood be taken away from him. I never want to see a man the way they feed their family be, you know, taken away from him and things like that. So, you know, no one is crying. No one is celebrating the downfall of Ryan Clark. On my end, you know, a lot of people are happy. I see everybody celebrating and things like that. I wasn't even going to speak on the situation. I was going to keep my mouth quiet. I was doing good for a whole week. I was doing great. I had to sit down with my son. We chopped it up, got things off our chest. And, you know, I was able to peel back a few layers and get an understanding. I was feeling great. Then Ryan Clark went up there and started crying. Lord have mercy.